Has it been a bit more of a normal week this week, and has that been a relief compared to last week?
Yeah, it was a strange, difficult week last week, you know, for everybody really. Certain players felt it more than others. I'm sure that was the same in their camp, you know. But you know, it was at the end of the week to come away with nothing was a really huge disappointment. If I'm honest, I thought we could have, you know, got a result out of the game.
You're back in the relegation zone. Has that had an effect on mood, on morale of you and the players, or not?
No, it's been the one consistent thing about the team is the training has been fantastic. They're a great group of lads. You know, we always know that we're a little limited in certain areas, but the training attitude, you know, it's been the attitude. I can't fault the attitude, and there's been no lull in that or change of mood or anything like that. It's been fabulous, and that's our best chance really. Until, you know, with the squad we have at the moment and the numbers that we've got, we've just got to ask them to give us more. You know, give us a little bit more. But I don't think they can do that in effort. I think they've just got to do that. You know, when I look at the goal last week and some of the goals we've conceded, you know, I just asked them to try and just that concentration moment. They've got to just concentrate more. You know, we can't lose a game like last week with a lack of concentration. It's you know, if it's a wonderful goal, I can accept and take my hat off, but not to goals like we have conceded.
Are you encouraged by the fact that if someone had said to you pre-season, after 11 games you'll only have 5 points, you would have imagined you'll be bottom, you'll be cut adrift. You look at the table, it's not like that, is it? No,
it isn't. I mean, you know, I do think. I mean, it looks like there's 6 teams involved at that, and we're probably favourites to finish bottom. So I think we've just got to take it on board and try and give it our best shot and see what happens. You know, I think there'll be a lot more nerves in other dressing rooms, if I'm honest, with clubs with bigger expectations than us. Whereas I think our boys know if they stop making these elementary errors, we're quite capable of picking points up between here and Christmas. And all the games, you know, I think apart from the top 4 or 5 teams, I think they're all winnable home and away on a good day. We've got to have a few good days. That's what we've got to have. And players, you know, instead of hitting the bar, they've got to go under the bar and things like that. You know, you need a little bit of luck. A decision here going your way. You know, we could have had certain decisions last week go our way, which would have changed changed the game.
And that situation at the moment, points total seem to be relatively low. Do you see that continuing to the end of the season?
I do really, yeah. I think, like I say, I think the bottom half of the Premiership now is, you know, our opponents on Saturday, you know, have had a fantastic time, haven't they? You know, that's what you need. You want 3 or 4 1-0 wins. And all of a sudden, you know, they're in the top half looking at the top 10, and that's great for Brighton. It's you know, and they've done it on a great defence, goalkeeper, you know, they've got a rigid centre backs and that, which are fabulous, and they've done it that way and got the 1-0, you know, whether it's a set piece or Glenn Murray scoring the goals. You know, it's they've done really brilliant, Chris, and that, and so I'm pleased for them. It's a lovely club, you know, but you know, we want to try and get there. That's going to take us a couple of years, and that's why we've got to fight like never before to try and prove everybody wrong again, the bookies and everybody else.
What's the one thing then, Neil, that you would take from Brighton's experience, how they've made this transition work, that might work for you?
I think defend like I know we can defend, and that's what they do. You know, they make very few mistakes, and they take advantage of the set pieces and things, and that's what, you know, we've got to do the same. We've got to defend better than what we have done. And we've got, you know, obviously, we've got to take more of our chances, you know, which is easier said than done.
The set pieces is interesting. You scored a lot of goals from set pieces last season, and your captain in particular, Sean Morrison, scored a lot from free kicks, corners. That hasn't happened this season.
No, I mean, they're cuter, aren't they? I mean, referees don't see the blocking. They see Sean when he breathes on them, and they give free kicks against Sean, but they don't see the free kicks when they actually block Sean and pull him down. And you know, it's amazing what they actually miss when they're so close to the scene. You know, last week, I think 75 minutes, something like that, he's hauled down, and the referee's looking 8 yards away. You know, it's difficult when you look at that and you don't get a decision. But I've said to Sean, you know, you've got to go away from that. and we've got to work on different things as well, you know. But I think while set pieces were vital last season, and they're always vital, I also think, you know, we're playing a better foot. I think, you know, I think we're twice the team that we were last year. We've improved that much so quickly. We're playing a lot more football, etc. But you know, we've got to toughen up at the back regarding defensive errors. And if we don't, you know, if we don't win the game, we've got to make sure we come out with a result.
No Harry Arter for you this week. How disappointing is that?
I'm really disappointed. Yeah. You know, disappointed all over on that respect. I'm disappointed that he couldn't curb himself, but you know, I suppose I've got to live with that. That's why I probably got him on loan.
Right. Joe Rawls, is he fit?
Well, he's training. You know, he's been out with this knee for the amount of, you know, he's eligible to come in, you know, on Saturday. So I think we have an option. Whether he's, you know, he's not been able to do any training until this week, so he's finding it, you know, like anything else. He's a fit lad, but you know, you need to get your breathing and all that into it. So he had a tough day yesterday, and we'll see how he is this morning. But he'll definitely be in the squad on Saturday. Jazz Richards is still out. He's got a hamstring injury, which he picked up week before that, and so is Zahor. Zahor's had a calf injury, which has not helped us really. I think he'll be still missing. And you know, we haven't got a. That's the difference, I think, with the top teams. They've got sort of under 23 internationals, which they don't even include in the 25s. So they've really got squads of 28, 29, whereas, you know, we're down to 17, 18 with the injuries we've got. It's you don't realise that from the outside. You think, oh, everybody's got a 25-man squad. But then when you look at some of the teams, you know, and the players that they've got from the 23s, it's you know, it shows the massive divide really in that respect.
Your 100th game for Cardiff?
I didn't realise that, yeah, till today. Yeah.
Anything planned? Guard of honour? Telegram from the Queen?
Yeah. I think that's when you get to 100, isn't it? I can't see me managing at 100. But I could be the first one, I suppose, to get a card on my 100th birthday. Love the Queen, by the way. I'm a royalist, so it's an achievement again, and not just 100 games, but I feel what I've done in 100 games is probably the best in my career, really. I keep surpassing myself. You know, I thought Rotherham was the best thing I'd done, and then coming here in the situation that we were in, to be playing in the Premier League after 100 games is a minor miracle, really, and that's why it pleases me so much, because the fans have been unbelievable. I mean, you know, it's an amazing feeling that it's almost like they're working for me. They're on the staff. They know the situation, how quickly we've come, and where we want to be. And although, you know, we are not written off, but you know, like I say, bookies wise, we've not got much of a chance of staying up. You know, I think the fans believe that we have a chance. You know, we have improved the team. We've got an outside chance of staying up, and I don't see any reason why we can't finish above 3. So, you know, they've given us a great lift over these last few weeks, bigger than probably even they think. And if it wasn't for the fans, it wouldn't be the same situation. They've been amazing, and that's why working for them, it's really probably been one of the happiest times of my life, really. And having thought about retiring 2 or 3 times, I'm really glad I didn't, because I do feel better for doing what I've done here, and I don't think my job's finished yet.
Just lastly from me, Neil, wider afield, there's a debate again this morning about penalties and about honesty, I suppose, and integrity in the game because of the Raheem Sterling decision last night. What did you make of that penalty decision, and what does it say maybe about the game that nobody intervened, or would you not expect anybody to intervene? Well,
I was doing a bit of a speech at the our chief medical officers in Cardiff last night. All the consultants, which we're very fortunate in Cardiff, we've got the best medical people I've ever come across. Zahir, he's a cardiologist who looks after my ticker and gives me all my tests and keeps me going. And took me for an Indian after, which I had 3 or 4 poppadoms and a bit of chicken. What was it? Buttered chicken. And I haven't got a clue what happened last night in any of the games. I got home at 11:30, went straight to bed, got straight up, never had, put a little bit of the cricket on to see how we were going on, and I've come here.
Right,
so you'll have to let me have a look before you ask me. You can ask me Saturday if you want.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I'll hold you to that.
Okay.
Neil, morning to you. I don't want to dwell too much on last week because I know that game has been put to bed, but I just would like to get a feeling from you about how you felt your players dealt with the Leicester players, bearing in mind the extraordinary situation they were in, both on and off the pitch.
Well, I thought the players were, and the club and the fans were amazing, really. But it's no more than what I expect when I've been at the club for 100 games. You know, I think the fans. You know, I mean, I look back at the first week when I think we played Bristol City on television, my first game, and you know, brought Sol and Junior in and a couple other lads and things, and I think the fans at that particular time would have just taken staying up for 2 seasons in that championship. Are you with me? So we've been on a roller coaster ride, and they've been very instrumental in that, and I think they've helped all the way with the players, because they've lifted the players at times when they've been down. They lifted me when I've been a little bit down, and now they are the consistent factor in what we're trying to do now. They are as big as anything now, the fans, and they're going to have to play the part. And I always think that we are better when we're underdogs. And you know, we're massive underdogs to achieve the impossible this year. Probably would be by a mile my biggest achievement. So, you know, we've got to give it a go, and the fans know that. And I think it's great that they support us like that, because it would be impossible, the job, without that.
You said that it's been possibly the happiest time of your career. Has it been the most stressful? I mean, because you know, there's always 2 sides to every coin. I mean, you know, a wonderful roller coaster experience, but roller coaster experiences can play havoc with the ticker as well, can't they?
Yeah, it's been the most difficult time because it hasn't been just on the field. I think when I took over, the club was a little bit fragmented, if I'm honest, on and off the field. And I think the pride I've got is actually putting the club back together. It's like putting all those pieces of jigsaw and coming out with a jigsaw now, whereas, you know, they were all over the show when I come in. So I think the pride I've got is, you know, whenever I meet people outside, you know, when they come up to me, they always say thank you for putting my club back together, and I think that makes me really proud, if I'm honest. Whatever happens this season, I'll always be proud of what I've done here, and I'll always have a soft spot for it because of the fans. I'll never forget the fans. So it's as difficult. It is stressful, but at my time in my life, when I'm managing. But I know it sounds silly, but the stress is all self-inflicted. The stress is what I want to do with my career, my life. I've not got much time left. And I want to, you know, at football, I want to finish on a high. And a high would be a miracle here. And that's what I want to finish on. So it's the stress is not getting where I want to be quicker, you know, because at my age, you want to do everything yesterday, you know, especially with things that happened over the last few weeks. And you know, you're disappointed, and the stress is all self-inflicted when it doesn't work like that, you know.
I'm sure if you ask most fans, they'll say they'd like to see Neil Warnock in place for another 100 games. Have you got another 100 games in you at Cardiff?
I think that might be a little bit difficult, if I'm honest. 100 games. We'll see how things go, and this season I think we've got to, you know, there comes a time where I want to see 1 or 2 places that I've not seen before. Whether my wife will put up with me like that, I don't know. But you know, you've seen things like not just Leicester, what's happened there, but you know, Glenn Hoddle, who I've got, you know, I think he's a fantastic guy. It just brings it home to you, really. It's on a thread, isn't it, life? And you know, last night talking to all the medical people, there were consultants and top knobs from everywhere in around Cardiff. And I said to them last night, listen, I've not charged a penny tonight, but in the next 10 years, I'm going to need every one of you guys. So when I want to see you in the next 10 years, I expect you to do it for nothing.
Neil Warnock, the great barterer. Brighton, obviously, this weekend. Would we be putting too much pressure on it to talk about it as a must-win game, or is that the way you're viewing it?
No, I don't think you go off like that, because there's so many. I think every game, like you say, the top 4 is pretty difficult, but I think up to Christmas, every game's winnable for us if we have a good day. But I think, you know, I don't think it's one of those where it's a must win, because, you know, if we didn't win, it wouldn't be the end of the world and people probably wouldn't be surprised. But it's one we want to win. So, you know, it all depends on, certain papers will put different slants on it, you know, and that's how it is. But I can only ask the lads to give the best, really, and they are giving the best. They're doing the utmost to get results, and you know, we've got to try and come up with a formula with the problems we have injury-wise and things to, you know, we've got now international break again, you know, so we've got, you know, 5. It's been interesting. Callum Patterson being called up. I don't know where they're going to play him, or if they are going to play him. So it's you know, another strange one before we play again at Everton. You know, I think we've only got about 8 players next week, so it's difficult. But it shows how far we've come, really, in the 100 games, that we've got so many internationals.
I'd be interested on that, because I was talking to Sean and Morrison, and he was saying that, you know, it's been such a tough start to the season. Obviously, we're playing sort of the top 6, but actually, he thinks that's been much more of a positive thing than a negative thing. Okay, the points, it meant that you haven't been able to pick up as many points as you would have liked to have done, but he believes they've become better players as a result of testing their mettle against the top teams.
I think, yeah. I think since the start of the season, since the Bournemouth game, I think we've improved nearly every game. It has been a learning curve. We played far more football than what people give us credit for as well, which is probably because it's my team. We probably don't get as much mentioned, you know. So it's getting the balance, really, and trying to create more goals with what we've got, and the discipline, etc. And I think we have changed, and we just need a bit of luck now. I don't think we've had much luck. My wife said 3 or 4 weeks ago that my luck was changing from today. So I hope she's right.
Don't argue with the wife. Last 2 questions from me, away from the football. Obviously, we've got Armistice Sunday this weekend, and again, talking to Sean when they were visiting Cardiff Castle and looking at the commemorative monument, the war graves, he said it really hit home to him that, but for 100 years, the space of 100 years, that could have been them. I wonder, has there been within the camp sort of any feeling about that this weekend? Is that something that you know, you allow them to think about sort of bigger picture sometimes away from the football, or would you not ever encourage?
No, I think it's something we talked about, you know, last week with the Leicester situation, and then the Armistice. I think we've said all along, you know, you have to look around, really, how lucky we are. You know, these guys gave their lives for us, you know, and, you know, would we be in the same democratic you know, situation as we are now if we'd have lost the war? And all these, you know, these people, they do tend to be forgotten at times. And personally, I love having a quick chat with the old guys outside the shops. If I'm on, I say the old guys are probably my age, but I do enjoy having a chat with them and putting a few quid in the box. I think it's when you talk to these guys, you realise how passionate they are, and we take so much for granted in life in England and anywhere else in the world, and these chaps week in, week out, you know, it's an amazing thing how much they support, and I think it's super this weekend where we give that support, and I think our players have taken that on board as well. So it's you know, it's a weekend that I think we all should be proud to be English and Welsh. But, you know, proud all round. You know, I think Great Britain itself, the soldiers, you know, like you said, when went down to Castle, and you see things like that, it just works. It just makes you realise, because I think you take so much for granted that we don't realise until we actually face with that situation what these guys did for us, really. So it's an emotional weekend, and I'm sure every family will have memories of granddads and great granddads and things like that, you know, which is good.
Final one from me. You mentioned about being a royalist. You're sharing a big birthday this year with another fairly prominent member of our UK community, Prince Charles. He's
a lot older than me.
Obviously a lot older than you. Just, you know, sort of comparing achievements, and, you know, as 70-year-olds in this 21st century, you know, sort of what are the sort of hardships or the challenges that you guys have to face?
It's, you know, it was like last night at the dinner. Well, not a dinner, just a speech really last night, and talking about my life in general. When you talk like that, and nothing planned, you know, I hadn't got anything planned. I went back to my childhood and things like that. It's lovely to look where you've come in your lifetime and what you've achieved. I feel that, you know, I've achieved, as my mum and dad would have been really proud of me and probably thought, can't believe what you've done, son. So I do look back with pride, and I think Prince Charles is the same. I think he's done what he's done. He goes unnoticed, really, and I think it's easy for the media, certain media, and people to jump on the bandwagon. I think they bring a lot more to England, to Great Britain, than people give us credit for, right? And I think it's appropriate, Prince of Wales. I think the people in Wales, you know, love that as well. And I just think he's got some views. Yeah, he's got some controversial views as well at times, but believe it or not, so have I.
I found that very helpful.
And I think it must be our age where we get to where, I think when you've been around and seen a lot of life, you know, you do, but you know, I am a massive royalist. I mean, one of the best times for me was when I met the Queen in Sheffield. It was an amazing, amazing time for me to meet her.
I think you're both entitled to use and best of luck at the weekend.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Back to the football. You talked about staying up would be a miracle and a high, and then you might look to, you want to end on a high. Am I reading too much into that? I mean, if you kept Cardiff up this season, would you then seriously think about joining your wife in retirement?
I think what you have to do is, I think when you get to my age, and you'll realise that when you get to my age, you can't really look beyond the next few months. Are you with me? I really think the next few weeks. It's not, you know, whatever contract or whatever job you're in, not just football, you know, life changes so quickly that you can't really plan ahead. You can hope to plan ahead. You know, I would love to keep Cardiff up and stabilise the club next year and keep them up again. Are you with me? But that's, you know, God willing, that's your health is so important. You know, I have got a fitness regime at the moment. I am training hard and trying to cut down on my alcohol and workouts and things. So I think you've got to do that. And it's hard when you get older to train every day. You know, the players see me on my bike and etc. with my sweat, and they come past me and I say, don't get old, lads. You know, it is harder to motivate yourself. It's easier to sit behind your desk, like I say, and have a bun and a cup of coffee and forget what you're doing, you know. But you have to drive yourself to keep fit, because you've got to be mentally quick at this level. And that's why, you know, I do enjoy my workouts. But I think that will decide. I think my health will decide how much I do, you know, how long I stay in the job, and I don't think that'll change.
So you're not looking at this as a farewell season?
I look at the club as a farewell club. I don't think I'll be, you know, leaving the club and going to another club. Are you with me? But I just think to look beyond the next few months, you know, I don't think you can. Whatever contract you have, I think, but if you know, good. I think my health is the main thing, and Sharon's health. You know, as long as Sharon's okay and I feel good, then, you know, we'll give it our best shot. What I've got this year and next year. Are you with me? But if anything should change, you know, I would never let health, you know, take over now at this stage.
And the miracle, I've been looking at some of the points that kept people up. I don't know if you've got a target in mind, but given it's so close at the bottom and the top 5 or 6 are so dominant in some ways, Sheffield United, your team, went down on 38 points.
I know. I'd take that now.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, West Brom went down on 30, I've stayed up on 34. Could it be the lowest points total to stay up this?
It does look as if it's going to be low this year, doesn't it? I mean, I don't, you know, you can't really foresee. Even Gypsy Rose Lee, I don't think, can really look that far ahead. But it does seem that the bigger teams are pulling away. There's not as many shocks this year as there with the big teams. You know, I mean, first time that 3 teams are undefeated at this stage, isn't it, at the top? So it is a, you know, I think there is a wider margin. But, you know, I think anybody in that bottom half, I mean, I think there's 6 clubs, but I think there's 2 or 3 above there that could quite easily hit a bad run as well. So it is wide open down there.
And a low.
I think, you know, looking at our people like a Brighton tomorrow, they'll still be looking down at us. than looking up. They'll be so happy with the points that they've got, because they're in top half of the table, aren't they, with what they've done? But they'll still be looking at the bottom three.
Because they used to say, didn't they, Neil? 40 points is the target to stay up. It's nowhere near that.
Not this year, no. I think it's the first one like this, and that's why we could benefit from that more than anybody, because we're hanging in there now. Even though we should have more points, we're hanging in that bottom six, and we know how close we can be and put pressure on other teams, really.
And Chris Hughton, the job he's done at Brighton, following what he did at Norwich. Josh Murphy was telling us his debut at Norwich, so it really has made Brighton into a proper Premier League club, isn't it?
Well, he's underrated, isn't he, Chris? I think his achievements speak for themselves, really. Sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for as fans. And I thought that Newcastle were in a super position when they got rid of him. But has he ever moaned, or has he ever gloated? You don't get that from Chris. He's bad for us, really, for managers. He's so nice. He gives us a bad reputation.
And you talk about the international break. You are going to lose a few players to international teams. Aaron Goodison, is he ready to resume with Iceland?
Well, he's going over with them. I don't think anything's changing. I mean, we've had a good chat about that, and he knows my situation, so he's got to go over. He's the captain of the club, really, of the team. So he knows they've got 2 games, and one's a friendly, and he knows how important Everton is. So I've left it with him. He's a sensible lad. Are you with me? I mean, he doesn't train every day with us, so he can't change his routine with them. So I'm hoping that they take that on board, really.
And as ever, Bruno Manga is going to be the furthest away, is he?
Yeah, it's good for Bruno to get further away, because he comes back and he's never any different.
Well, I was going to say, it doesn't seem to bother him.
No, not ever. I think people have said, why don't we play, get the right back situation, and I mean, they probably don't know that Jazz has been injured for a few weeks, and Peltier has had, did his shoulder, etc. But I don't think anybody could have played better than Bruno in the last few weeks. I think it's been super, and I think it's easy to say, Bruno's not a natural right back or something like that, but I think it's been probably our most consistent defender this season, me.
And just finally from me, Danny Ward is back. 1 or 2, a bit more of an option now up front.
Thank goodness,
even without Ken Zaho.
Yeah.
You've got to get that right now, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's so difficult at the moment. Even now at this stage, and we're only just in November. We've had a couple of knockbacks from players who wanted to sign in January. Strikers already, they're not for sale. And players we thought we could probably get, have either hit a good run of form in Europe and gone beyond us again. Clubs don't want. It's not straightforward to sign anybody that's better than what you've got. So it's not going to be easy. We realised that this last few days.